In the early 1950s, in a quiet neighborhood of El Cerrito, California, two brothers shared a simple dream: to play music that people would remember. John and Tom Fogerty grew up in a modest home filled with both laughter and tension. Their father, a World War II veteran, was often away or lost in his own world, while their mother tried to hold the family together. For John, music became a way to escape the sadness that filled their house. He admired his older brother, Tom, who was confident, kind, and already in love with singing. Tom was the first to form a band, calling it the Blue Velvets, and he invited John to join as the lead guitarist. Together, they started playing in school dances, small bars, and local events. Even back then, people noticed something special about John's deep voice and powerful lyrics. Yet, what no one realized was that behind the stage lights, a quiet competition had begun to grow between the two brothers. Tom dreamed of being the star, but John's talent was impossible to ignore. The bond that once connected them was slowly replaced by a silent rivalry, one that would define their lives and tear them apart in the years to come. By the mid-1960s, the Fogerty Brothers band had gone through several name changes, from the Blue Velvets to the Gollywogs, before finally becoming Creedence Clearwater Revival, CCR, in 1967. The name itself symbolized a fresh start. Creedence came from a friend's name, Clearwater from a beer commercial, and Revival because they wanted to restart their career. Once John took control of songwriting and production, the band's sound changed completely. He wrote about real-life struggles, social injustice, and the working-class American spirit. Songs like Proud Mary, Bad Moon Rising, and Fortunate Son became instant classics. The music was raw, emotional, and honest, the kind of sound that spoke directly to ordinary people. But behind the success, cracks were beginning to show. John handled everything: writing, singing, arranging, producing, while the others felt left out. Tom, in particular, felt his creative voice fading. He had started as the band's leader, but now he was barely more than a rhythm guitarist. Though the public saw CCR as a symbol of unity and power, inside the band, tension and jealousy were growing. Each hit song brought more fame, and more distance between the brothers. As Creedence Clearwater Revival rose to international fame, the power struggle between John and Tom reached its breaking point. John, being a perfectionist, demanded complete control over every note, every word, and every performance. He believed that only he could guide CCR to greatness. The others, Tom Fogerty, Stu Cook, and Doug Clifford, started to feel like employees rather than bandmates. John's strict attitude created a tense environment during tours and recording sessions. Even though their music topped the charts and filled stadiums, there was little joy left in the band. Tom tried to talk to his younger brother, hoping they could work together more equally, but John saw it as a threat to his vision. The arguments became more personal, more painful. At one point, Tom said, "It's not a band anymore, it's John's army." The love that once made their music powerful was being replaced by anger and mistrust. By 1971, after 4 years of massive success, Tom couldn't take it anymore. He decided to leave the band he had helped create. His exit broke the heart of many fans, and shattered any chance the brothers had of rebuilding their bond. After Tom's departure, CCR continued briefly as a trio, but the magic was gone. Their final album, Mardi Gras, 1972, was a commercial disappointment and marked the end of one of the greatest American rock bands. John, who had once stood at the top of the music world, now found himself surrounded by lawsuits and betrayal. Their record label, Fantasy Records, owned all the rights to CCR's songs, and John's contract left him almost powerless. He had written every hit, yet he made far less than what he deserved. The label's owner, Saul Zaentz, became the new enemy in John's life. The bitterness consumed him. He stopped performing many of his own songs for years, saying that every time he sang them, he felt cheated. Meanwhile, Tom tried to build a solo career, releasing several albums. But without CCR's name or John's songwriting, success never returned. He still reached out to his brother, hoping to heal old wounds, but John refused to talk. Letters went unanswered. The silence between them grew heavier with time. What had started as a musical dream now felt like a lifelong curse, a story of pride, pain, and lost love. The feud between the Fogerty brothers affected everyone around them, friends, bandmates, even family. Their mother begged them to make peace, but both men were too proud and too hurt. Tom believed John had destroyed the band. John believed Tom had betrayed him by siding with Fantasy Records. At family gatherings, they avoided each other completely. When their parents passed away, they barely exchanged words. Stu Cook and Doug Clifford, the other CCR members, tried to mediate, but it was useless. The once golden brotherhood had turned into complete estrangement. John's obsession with control and fairness kept him isolated, while Tom's gentle nature turned to sadness. Despite their differences, both carried the same burden, the loss of what they had built together. CCR's songs kept playing on the radio, making millions for others while the brothers could not even share a conversation. The world celebrated their music, but the people behind it were trapped in silence. It was one of rock's greatest tragedies, that the men who gave us Have You Ever Seen the Rain could no longer face each other. In the late 1980s, tragedy struck. Tom Fogerty was diagnosed with AIDS, a result of a tainted blood transfusion during a back surgery. As his health declined, he reached out to John one last time, hoping they could reconcile before it was too late. But John, still carrying years of anger and distrust, refused. When Tom passed away in 1990 at just 48 years old, John did not attend his funeral. According to reports, he stood outside the church but never went inside. Later, John would admit that he regretted that decision deeply, but at the time, the pain was too heavy. Tom's death marked the true end of Creedence Clearwater Revival, not as a band, but as a family. After the funeral, John discovered a note Tom had written years earlier, saying he still loved his brother and hoped they would find peace someday. Reading that letter broke John's heart. He finally realized that all the fame, all the money, and all the pride had cost him something he could never get back, his brother. The world had lost a great musician, but John had lost something far more personal, the only person who truly understood where it all began. In the years that followed, John Fogerty tried to rebuild his life and career. He faced legal battles with his record label, including one bizarre case where he was accused of plagiarizing his own song. He won that fight and eventually regained control of his music. But emotionally, he still carried the scars of his past. In interviews, John often spoke about how the feud with Tom haunted him. He admitted that he had been too hard, too stubborn, and too proud. As he grew older, he began performing CCR songs again, something he had refused to do for years. Audiences cheered, not just for the music, but for the man finally embracing his history. Still, every time he sang Have You Ever Seen the Rain, or Who'll Stop the Rain, it felt like a quiet apology, a message to his brother that he was sorry. John found peace through his family and music, but the ghost of Tom never left him. In later interviews, he said, "I wish I could talk to him now. I'd tell him I love him. I really would." Those words carried the weight of decades of silence. Today, Creedence Clearwater Revival remains one of the most beloved bands in rock history. Their songs still echo on classic radio stations, in movies, and across generations of fans. The Fogerty brothers left behind a legacy of timeless music, songs that spoke about working-class life, war, and love, but their personal story remains a cautionary tale. They prove that success can destroy even the strongest bonds if pride and pain are allowed to grow unchecked. John continues to perform, his voice still strong, his guitar still powerful. He honors the music, but rarely speaks about the deep wound left by his brother's death. For many fans, the story of John and Tom Fogerty is more than a rock tragedy, it's a reminder that forgiveness is worth more than fame. Two brothers who started with nothing changed the sound of American rock forever. Yet, their greatest song may not be one they ever recorded. It's the silent melody of love, regret, and memory that still lingers in every note of Fortunate Son and Have You Ever Seen the Rain? Songs born from pain, but kept alive by the bond of two brothers who never truly stopped loving each other. Even today, fans wonder what might have happened if John and Tom had made peace. Some imagine a reunion concert, others dream of one last recording together. But life doesn't always offer second chances. The silence between the brothers became as famous as their songs, a silence filled with things left unsaid. John once said that he often dreams about his brother. In those dreams, they're young again, playing guitars in their mother's living room, smiling without words. That image captures the essence of their story, love buried under years of misunderstanding, yet never completely gone. Time has softened the anger, but the sadness remains. The music of Creedence Clearwater Revival continues to unite millions around the world, something the brothers could never do in their lifetime. And perhaps that's the real beauty of their story: even when human hearts break, art endures. The songs live on as proof that from pain can come something eternal, something that still moves people, even decades later. After Creedence Clearwater Revival officially broke up in 1972, John Fogerty entered one of the darkest periods of his life. He had gone from being one of the most successful songwriters in America to a man who felt completely betrayed by the music industry. The legal agreements he had signed when he was young had trapped him. Every time a CCR song played on the radio, it made money, but not for John. The royalties went to Fantasy Records and its owner, Saul Zaentz. For years, John refused to sing his own songs in concert. He said that performing them felt like reliving a theft. The bitterness took over his creativity. While other artists from his era enjoyed fame and comfort, John was isolated. The feud with Zaentz even led to lawsuits and public insults. John once said that he felt like a prisoner of his own music. During this time, he and Tom were still not speaking. Tom, meanwhile, had settled into a quieter life, continuing to play music on a smaller scale. But he often told friends that he missed his brother and hoped one day they could play together again. Sadly, that wish would never come true. While John was fighting record labels in his own anger, Tom Fogerty faced struggles of his own. He had started his solo career with high hopes, believing that he could build a new musical identity outside CCR. He recorded albums like Excalibur and Zephyr National, which featured guest performances from former CCR members. But without the band's magic chemistry, none of them achieved commercial success. Critics were polite but unimpressed. Tom was known to be a kind and humble man who rarely spoke badly about anyone, but those close to him said that the break with his brother had left a permanent scar. He would occasionally play small shows and talk to fans about the old days. Some nights, he would tell them that he still believed he and John would reconcile. He kept that hope alive even when John refused contact. To Tom, CCR wasn't just a band, it was the best years of his life. He had been proud to play alongside his little brother, watching him rise from a shy teenager to one of the greatest rock voices of his generation. Deep down, he still loved John. But that love lived quietly, hidden behind years of hurt. The 1980s were not kind to John Fogerty. After years of refusing to work with Fantasy Records, he finally released his comeback album Centerfield in 1985 under Warner Brothers. It became a success, with songs like The Old Man Down the Road topping charts. But even that victory turned sour. Saul Zaentz, the owner of Fantasy, sued John for allegedly copying his own CCR song, Run Through the Jungle. John was being accused of plagiarizing himself. The absurdity of the case became national news. John took his guitar to court and played both songs to prove they were different. The judge ruled in his favor. He won the case, but at a great emotional cost.